If you're anywhere near the world of web development, you have absolutely heard about React hooks. You just can't escape them. But what are they, really? Well, they're way more than just a new feature. They're a huge shift in how we actually build things with React. So over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what that means.
Okay, so maybe they can't solve all of your problems. But this quote, it just perfectly captures the insane excitement when hooks first landed. They really did promise to fix some of React's biggest headaches. And you know what? They pretty much delivered. So let's get into what all the fuss is about.
All right, let's dive in. Welcome to Hookland. Now, our goal here isn't to get totally lost in the technical weeds, but to give you a really clear map of the territory, what hooks are, how they work, and most importantly, why they matter so much.
So before we go any further, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. We're talking about React, right? The library that powers just countless user interfaces all over the web? Hooks are a modern feature that lets us write our React components in a way that's so much cleaner and, honestly, way more powerful.
So what is a hook, really? At its core, it's just a special kind of JavaScript function. You'll know them because they always start with the word use. But the key idea here is superpowers. Yep, these functions let you hook into React's internal machinery, things like state and lifecycle methods right from your simple function components. The first, and by far the most common superpower, is useState. This is literally how you give your component a memory. In this little line of code, count is our piece of data. That's our state. And setCount is the special function React gives us to update it. It's really as simple as that. Next up is useEffect. Now, this one handles any side effects, which sounds kind of technical, right? But all it really means is tasks that have to interact with the world outside of your component. Think fetching data from a server, setting up a subscription. That's what useEffect is for. And that little array at the end, that's the dependency array, and it is so important. Here, putting count inside tells React, hey, only rerun this effect when the count value actually changes.
And rounding out our big three is useRef. I want you to imagine a little box, a box for a value that you can change anytime you want without forcing your entire component to re-render. That's useRef. It's perfect for things like getting direct access to DOM elements, like focusing an input field, or for just storing values that don't need to be part of the visual update cycle.
But you know what they say, with great power comes a couple of rules. And listen, these are not suggestions. They're absolutely essential for keeping your React app stable and predictable. Trust me, you're gonna want to commit these to memory.
So here they are. Number 1, hooks must always be called at the top level of your component. That means no putting them inside an if statement or a for loop, ever. And 2, you can only call hooks from a React function component or from another custom hook. You break these rules, and I promise you, you will encounter some of the most confusing bugs you can possibly imagine.
So why? Why are these rules so dang strict? It's all because React relies on call order. On every single render, React expects your hooks to be called in the exact same sequence. It doesn't know them by name, only by their position. It's like a slot machine. The first useState is always number 1, the first useEffect is always number 2, and so on. If you put a hook inside a conditional, that order can change and React gets totally lost. It starts mixing up which state belongs to which hook and, yeah, chaos ensues.
Okay, so we know the basics and we know the rules. Now for the real magic. This is the part where it all clicks. This is the aha moment where you go from just using hooks to truly thinking in hooks. Just take a look at this classic problem. On the left, we've got 2 totally separate components that both need to track if the user is online. See all that repeated logic? It's messy, it's a pain to maintain, just ugh. Now look at the after on the right. All that complexity is just gone. It's replaced by a single, clean, descriptive line of code.
So, how'd we do it? We created our very own custom hook. We just took all that duplicated logic, we put it into its own function called useOnlineStatus, and we had it return the piece of data we need. We've literally created a new, reusable superpower. Now our component code just describes what it wants, not the messy details of how to get it.
Now this next point is maybe the most important thing to understand. When both of our components call that new useOnlineStatus hook, are they sharing one single isOnline variable? No, absolutely not. Each call to a hook is completely independent. They are sharing the stateful logic, the recipe, but not the state itself. Each component gets its own fresh, independent piece of state to work with. All right, now that you know how to write your own hooks and you're feeling all powerful, let's talk about what can go wrong. Because like any powerful tool, there are a few common traps that pretty much everyone falls into at first. We'll run through them quick so you know what to watch out for.
Okay, let's do a quick fire round. First, the infinite loop. This happens when your effect updates a piece of state that it also depends on, causing it to run over and over and over. Next, stale data. This is when you forget to add a variable to that dependency array, so the effect uses an old value from a previous render. Stale closures are a similar kind of headache. Then you've got over-optimizing. Wrapping everything in performance hooks just in case can actually make your code slower and way harder to read. And finally, always remember that setting state is asynchronous. You can't update a value and then try to read that new value on the very next line. It won't be there yet.
So after all this, you can probably see that hooks are much more than just a new API to learn. They really encourage a completely different way of thinking about your components and all the logic that goes inside them. And this quote right here, it just sums up the entire philosophy perfectly. Hooks are not magic spells. They are building blocks. Seriously, think of them like Lego bricks. We're taking these small, reusable, understandable pieces of logic and just snapping them together to build complex and really reliable user interfaces.
The real power of hooks isn't just about cleaning up your code. It's about unlocking brand new ways to structure it, to share logic, in ways that were really difficult or even impossible before. So the only question left is, now that you know the rules of this superpower, what are you going to build first?